Taylor Sheridan had to make some last-minute changes to his hit western Yellowstone when Kevin Costner announced he wouldn't be returning for the last season. It sent the whole world into a spiral. Why was Kevin quitting after starring in Paramount's hit series after 5 seasons? The answer: Horizon, an American saga. The Hollywood actor has a knack for production and announced he was working on a western of his own. While he never outrightly said he left the role of John Dutton to focus on Horizon, fans are sure it played a role in his decision. The trailer has been released and everyone's saying the same thing: it's better than Yellowstone. Fans reacting to Kevin Costner's decision. Kevin isn't the first big actor to walk away from a hit franchise, and he won't be the last. Still, his decision to quit Yellowstone caught everyone by surprise. More so because Sheridan had already announced Season 5 would be the finale. The question on everyone's mind was, why couldn't Kevin stick it out for the final season? Besides working on Horizon, fans believed that Sheridan and Costner had started butting heads. While the Hollywood actor has earned legend status in the industry for his many successful projects, it wasn't without some controversy. Namely, Kevin's tendency to steamroll productions. That's apparently what happened in this case too. Kevin wanted a bigger payout, more creative control, and a seat at the writer's table. Sheridan wasn't willing to give him any of it. Sure, Kevin was the face of the Yellowstone franchise, but he was already getting paid millions per episode. More importantly, Sheridan claimed that the one thing he'd never compromise on was creative control. The series creator had a bad experience with something of a similar nature when he worked on Sons of Anarchy, and he wasn't going to let it happen again. That plus the fact that Yellowstone was his brainchild. Sheridan had apparently been working on the series for years and was finally able to get a word in with the execs at Paramount. The rest, as they say, is history. Speaking of history, Yellowstone will go down as one of the highest-grossing Western series of all time. Considering the many Westerns there are out there, that's a pretty big feat. The series finale, Season 5 Part 2, is believed to be released sometime later in 2024. While everything else is the same, Kevin's presence as John Dutton, the patriarch of the Montana ranch family, will surely be missed. His decision to quit caused quite a bit of controversy. Some fans believed that Sheridan should have relented for the greater good. Others believed Kevin was being unreasonable. He'd done this before with other projects too. All in all, when everyone heard that Kevin was working on Horizon, it all clicked. Then, the discourse was surrounding Kevin's project. Will it be a hit or not? The road to Horizon was tough. To make a few things clear, Kevin didn't just up and leave the set of Yellowstone one day. Discussions had been going on for months. Paramount execs were desperate to reach a compromise and mediate the situation between Sheridan and Costner. Unfortunately, they just couldn't and decided to part amicably, or however close to it they could. Also, Kevin wasn't inspired to write Horizon because of Sheridan. If anything, the only reason why the actor took on the role of John Dutton, a fearsome cowboy, was because he'd loved the idea of starring in a Western for decades. Of course, if things went his way, he'd be writing the Western too. A little-known fact about the actor is that he's dabbled in script writing before, too. If anything, he'd written the script for Horizon in 1988. That's decades before Sheridan even came up with the idea for Yellowstone. So while Kevin was probably motivated by Yellowstone's success to dust off his script and try again, it's not that he was copying Sheridan's winning strategy. Yep, 1988. That was when Kevin wrote the first draft for Horizon. He later went to Walt Disney headquarters in 2002 to pitch the 4-part series. At the time, Kevin was working on the 2003 release, Open Range. The execs guaranteed they'd look into creating Horizon when they felt the audience wanted another Western. Years turned into decades, and Kevin thought he'd have to shelve the project. In a way, his hit role on Yellowstone was the revival Westerns needed. Walt Disney was suddenly interested again, and they called Kevin back in 2022 to strategize. Now, could Kevin have worked on Yellowstone and Horizon at the same time? While it would have been tough, sure he could. Again, his decision to quit was less about scheduling conflicts and more about creative control. All's well that ends well, right? In May 2024, Chapter 1 of the 4-part series was released at the Cannes Film Festival, and the reviews are in. Most critics admitted that the only reason they were looking forward to the movie was to see if Kevin's decision to leave Yellowstone was the right one. The reviews are in. Overall, the first installment of the film has received mixed reviews from critics. According to a critic at Vulture, this is to be expected with a 4-part series. You have to remember, filming has only concluded for the first 2 parts of the franchise. According to the review, Chapter 1 does exactly what it's supposed to: build hype. Kevin's vision with Horizon was to draft a story leading up to the Civil War itself, and what happened after it. The story, mixed with fragments of reality, has multiple subplots running at the same time. So, for the first part to seem half-done or confusing wasn't a huge surprise. Again, Chapter 1 isn't a standalone film. The only way it'll make sense is if Chapter 2 is released, at which point the second installment will only make sense if Chapter 3 is released. Ultimately, all the parts will mesh together once the 4-part series is concluded. However, while the Vulture had a reservedly positive review for Horizon, and the critics seemed hopeful for the future of the franchise, others weren't too keen. They're arguing that Kevin overreached with this one. In any case, the best way to make the most of the PR he'd received from working on and then exiting Yellowstone would be by creating a winning Western, even with the first installment. Are critics being too harsh on the Hollywood legend? Some fans think so and some don't. The fans in Kevin's corner are arguing that critics are watching Horizon under a microscope because of the actor's dramatic exit from Yellowstone. They also pointed out that while both franchises are westerns, the storylines are markedly different. Yellowstone is set in the present day, whereas Horizon is set decades earlier at a time of civil unrest in the United States. Also, Sheridan's drama revolved around a family of Montana ranch owners and everyone they interacted with. On the other hand, Horizon focuses on the people affected by the American Civil War. Kevin's fans claimed that the trailer is enough to get them excited for the film. Horizon is set for its theatrical release in June 2024, not too long to go now. Meanwhile, people who believe the critics are being fair with their criticism claim Kevin tried too hard to make Horizon work. They're claiming that since 1988, Kevin's added few or no changes to the script. The audience today isn't the same as it once was. They're arguing that the only real change Kevin made was to create a 4-part series instead of 1 movie. This might have been because of the commercial flop Waterworld. For those of you who might not remember, Waterworld was one of the worst performing films of all time. Back then, critics slammed Costner's film for trying too hard. The film was also panned for being too long and losing the plot entirely towards the middle. People are arguing that making Horizon a 4-part series was a strategic move. But did that strategy help? We'll know more once Horizon makes its theatrical debut. Should Kevin go back to Yellowstone? Filming for Horizon started in Utah in 2022. Meanwhile, there were speed bumps over at Paramount with the writer's strike delaying all major Hollywood productions, yes, including Yellowstone. The series was delayed for several years and is now finally reaching its conclusion with Season 5, Part 2. Technically, Kevin can still return to set and film his parts as John Dutton. Allegedly, he's pitched the idea to Paramount too. However, he's getting pushback from Sheridan, who claims that he's already written the script for the finale, one that doesn't include Costner. It's business apparently. They're not willing to let Costner back on set to give his character a proper send-off because of bad blood with Sheridan. Still, fans are hoping this doesn't compromise on the finale, something they've been looking forward to for years. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think about the Horizon vs. Yellowstone drama in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.